You've seen them stacked in scrapyards, rusting on the side of highways, or getting towed off one final time. But junk cars don't just disappear, they're reborn. Every year, over 15 million vehicles in the US alone reach the end of their road. But instead of going to waste, they're turned into something new. Millions of tons of recycled steel that powers everything from skyscrapers to new vehicles. So how does it happen? How do millions of old, broken-down, gas-guzzling cars get shredded, melted, and transformed into clean, usable raw material? Today, we're diving deep into the automotive recycling industry, a world of crushers, shredders, and molten metal where no part of a car gets left behind. 1. Collection and transportation. The final ride. The journey begins at the end of the car's life. Once a vehicle is no longer worth repairing, whether due to age, damage, or cost, it's sold or towed to a scrapyard or automotive dismantling facility. Some owners drop off their cars directly, while others go through insurance companies, auctions, or donation programs. At this stage, the vehicle may still contain useful parts, but its value as a whole has dropped below the price of its metal. Workers assess the car's condition, register it into the facility's system, and prepare it for dismantling. Before anything else, they make sure all legal paperwork is processed, confirming that the vehicle isn't stolen, abandoned, or involved in ongoing claims. From there, the vehicle is moved to a holding area, the last time it will ever look like a car. 2. Draining and depolluting, making it safe for recycling. Before recycling can begin, the car must be depolluted, meaning every hazardous fluid and pressurized component needs to be safely removed. Vehicles are full of materials that can harm the environment or interfere with processing if not handled properly. Technicians begin by draining all fluids, including gasoline, engine oil, brake fluid, power steering fluid, coolant, and transmission fluid. These liquids are collected and stored in sealed containers, often to be recycled or safely disposed of by licensed waste handlers. Next, they remove the battery, which contains corrosive acid and heavy metals. Airbags are deactivated or carefully removed since the explosive chemicals inside them pose a safety risk. Mercury switches, refrigerants from air conditioners, and other electronic modules are also pulled out. This step is all about reducing risk, both for the environment and for the people working with these vehicles. Once the car is clean of hazards, the real teardown begins. 3rd, parts removal, salvaging what still has value. Not everything in a junk car is junk. In fact, many components, from engines to doors to navigation systems, can still be reused or sold. That's why skilled dismantlers start removing any parts that might have value before the car gets destroyed. Engines and transmissions, if still functional, are often sold as used parts or sent to remanufacturing facilities where they're rebuilt and resold. Alternators, starters, radiators, wheels, tires, and exhaust systems are also pulled for resale. Even cosmetic pieces like side mirrors or bumpers can find a second life in auto body shops or DIY repairs. Some facilities operate online stores or ship parts internationally, giving these components a chance to be reused before ending up as scrap. It's a key part of the automotive recycling process, reducing the need for new manufacturing and keeping functional parts out of the waste stream. Once the salvageable parts are removed, what remains is mostly metal and plastic shell, the true core of the recycling operation. 4. Crushing and transport, reducing volume for the shredder. After depollution and parts removal, the stripped-down car, now often just a shell, is ready to be crushed. A large hydraulic crusher flattens the car down to a fraction of its original size, reducing its volume and making it easier to transport. The crushing process is loud, fast, and powerful. The machine compresses the vehicle with several tons of force, turning it into a dense, rectangular slab of twisted metal. Some facilities use mobile crushers to do this on site. Others send the cars by truck or rail to central crushing facilities. These compressed car bodies, now called auto hulks, are stacked and loaded onto trailers or rail cars headed for the next destination, the shredder. 5. Shredding, turning cars into metal confetti. The real transformation begins inside a car shredder, a machine as big as a house and as loud as a jet engine. It's one of the most powerful tools in the recycling industry. Inside the shredder, massive spinning hammers made from hardened steel pulverize the car into small fragments in seconds. As the hulks enter the shredder, they're torn apart piece by piece. Engines, frames, doors, everything is smashed into palm-sized chunks of metal, foam, plastic, and glass. The result is a pile of automotive shredder residue, a chaotic mix of materials that now has to be separated. To sort the mess, the shredded mix goes through a series of powerful magnetic belts, air jets, and eddy current separators. Magnets pull out ferrous metals like iron and steel. Non-magnetic materials like aluminum and copper are separated by density or electric charge. Plastics and light materials are either landfilled, used in waste-to-energy plants, or recycled when possible. The steel, once separated and cleaned, is now in the form of shredded scrap. Small, high-purity pieces that are ready for the steel mill. 6. Melting. Rebirth in the furnace. Once sorted and bundled, the shredded steel is transported to electric arc furnaces or basic oxygen furnaces, depending on the steel mill. Here, the metal reaches its final transformation, from broken car parts into molten steel ready to become something entirely new. At the mill, the scrap is loaded into enormous furnaces and heated to temperatures over 2,700 degrees Fahrenheit. The steel melts quickly, forming a glowing, bubbling pool of liquid metal. Impurities rise to the top and are removed as slag, while other ingredients like carbon, manganese, and chromium are added to adjust the steel's properties depending on what it will become next. After refining, the molten steel is poured into molds or cast into long slabs. These slabs are then rolled, pressed, or coiled into new forms, ready to be turned into I-beams, appliances, construction materials, or even brand new vehicles. What began as a rusted frame is now clean, high-quality steel that could become the backbone of a bridge or the shell of an electric car. 7. The scale. 15 million cars, endless possibilities. In the U.S. alone, more than 15 million vehicles are scrapped every year, and over 90% of the steel in those vehicles is recycled. That translates to around 15 million tons of steel being recovered annually. Worldwide, the number is even bigger. Auto recycling is one of the most efficient material recovery systems on the planet. Nearly 80% of an average car is recyclable, and the steel from just one recycled vehicle saves enough energy to power a house for several months. This industry doesn't just reduce waste, it reduces the demand for mining new ore, lowers greenhouse gas emissions, and cuts water and energy use dramatically. In a world that's demanding more sustainability from every sector, auto recycling is already decades ahead of the curve. What seems like the end of the road for an old car is really just the beginning. Through an incredible mix of manual labor, high-tech machinery, and industrial-scale science, junk cars are reborn as something new, useful, strong, and ready to power the next generation. So next time you walk past a pile of crushed vehicles or hear the roar of a shredder in the distance, know this: behind all that destruction is one of the most important recycling stories in the modern world. If this deep dive into the world of auto recycling blew your mind, give this video a like and subscribe for more behind-the-scenes journeys into how the world reuses what it once threw away. And tell us in the comments, what product should we follow from death to rebirth next? Until then, stay curious, and never underestimate the power of a pile of junk.